Have you ever read a sentence that made you stop and think, wait, that doesn't make sense? And yet somehow it feels completely right. That's because great writers sometimes bend the rules of logic to reveal a deeper truth. Today, we'll explore three powerful literary devices that do exactly that. Take this classic line from Shakespeare. Juliet is saying goodbye to Romeo, and she calls the experience sweet sorrow. It's one of the most famous, most beautiful lines in all of English literature. But if you just look at it on the surface, it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, really think about it. How can something that's painful also be pleasant? That's the puzzle we're going to solve together. And to understand this line and so many others like it, we need to master three specific tools: the oxymoron, the paradox, and the allegory. So let's get right to the first one. Okay, our first tool is the oxymoron. The best way to think about it is like a tiny, super concentrated burst of contradiction. It's where a writer takes two words that are total opposites and just smashes them together to create this surprising, totally new meaning. So, what is it exactly? An oxymoron is when you combine two contradictory terms for a specific effect, and you've probably used them a million times without even realizing it. Ever been in a deafening silence or maybe talked about a bittersweet memory? Yep, those are both oxymorons, and they pack a huge punch in just two little words. So, let's go back to where we started. Parting is such sweet sorrow. You can probably spot it now, right? It's a classic example of an oxymoron. Sweet and sorrow are complete opposites, yet Shakespeare places them side by side. But here's the really interesting question. Why would a writer put two opposite ideas together? And this is where the power of an oxymoron really shines. Juliet isn't simply sad. Saying goodbye to Romeo is painful, but it's also sweet because it reminds her how deeply she loves him. By placing two opposite ideas together, Shakespeare captures those mixed emotions in just two words. It's far more powerful than simply saying, I'm both happy and sad. All right, let's move on to our next tool, which builds on this idea. If an oxymoron is a contradictory phrase, then the paradox is its bigger cousin. It's an entire statement that seems logically impossible, but if you stick with it and really think about it, it actually contains a profound truth. So, a paradox is a seemingly contradictory statement that reveals a deeper truth. And that word seemingly is the key here. It looks totally false on the surface, but it's designed to make you stop, scratch your head, and think until you uncover that hidden bit of wisdom inside. Just look at this famous paradox from George Orwell's Animal Farm. Logically, this is complete nonsense. I mean, equality is absolute. You can't be more equal. The statement completely contradicts itself, but that is exactly the point. See, Orwell uses this paradox to expose the massive hypocrisy of the ruling pigs in the story. They preach equality for all, but in reality, they've built a system where they have all the power. So the paradox isn't just some clever phrase. It's a devastating critique of how noble ideas can be twisted and corrupted. Okay, so let's make the distinction crystal clear because this can be a little confusing. An oxymoron is a compact two-word contradiction, like sweet sorrow. A paradox, on the other hand, is a full sentence or idea that seems false, but is actually true, like the classic idea that less is more. All right, we're zooming out for our third and final tool. We're going from phrases and senses to the entire story. And this is the allegory. You can think of it as a story with a secret identity, a whole hidden meaning running just beneath the surface of the plot. With an allegory, the entire story, I'm talking the characters, the setting, the events, it's all a symbol for something else. It's a way for an author to talk about big, complex, often controversial ideas without ever having to mention them directly. The whole narrative is basically a code. An allegory is absolutely everywhere in literature. Orwell's Animal Farm, it's not really about farm animals. It's a powerful allegory for the Russian Revolution. C.S. Lewis's Narnia series is a famous Christian allegory, and Albert Camus's novel The Plague uses a literal epidemic to explore the rise of fascism during World War II. So what's the point? Well, the real power of allegory is that it makes these incredibly difficult subjects accessible. Instead of writing a dry political essay, an author can tell an engaging, memorable story that lets us explore huge themes like suffering or resistance or faith in a much more profound way. All right, you've officially got the toolkit: oxymoron, paradox, and allegory. So now let's put it to the test. We're going to look at a short, really powerful piece of text and see if we can decode all the layers of meaning using what we've just learned. Okay, listen to this passage. The war-torn village was eerily alive, a place where silence screamed louder than words. Amidst the rubble, an old man sat, saying, "Freedom is the sweetest kind of imprisonment." The story he read spoke of a tree that mirrored the resilience of the human spirit. Whew! That is dense with meaning, right? We've got a war-torn village, an old man with a very strange saying, and a story about a tree. It's a literary puzzle. Let's start breaking it down together. First up, I want you to look for that big contradictory idea. There's a full statement in there that seems completely impossible, but hints at a deeper truth. Can you find it? There it is. Freedom is the sweetest kind of imprisonment. How on earth can freedom be a prison? Well, the paradox suggests that true freedom comes with heavy responsibilities, with choices that can actually feel confining. It's a really profound thought hidden inside a contradiction. Okay, awesome. Next up, let's hunt for the oxymoron. Remember, we're looking for two contradictory words placed side by side to create a really powerful effect. And you got it? Silence screamed. By definition, silence doesn't make a sound. But by pairing it with screamed, the author creates this incredibly haunting atmosphere. It's not a peaceful quiet, right? It's a heavy, oppressive silence that's just full of unspoken horror. And for the last one, I want you to look for the story within the story. What part of this text is standing in for a much, much bigger idea? It's the story of the tree. It's not just about a plant. That tree growing in a barren desert is a symbol. It's an allegory for the old man, for the villagers, for the human spirit's incredible ability to endure and find life even in the middle of total destruction. So, the next time you're reading a book or watching a movie or even just listening to a song, keep your new toolkit handy. Look for those little contradictions, the statements that don't quite make sense at first, and the stories that seem to be about so much more than what's on the surface. Because now you know the rules for breaking the rules. What hidden meanings are you going to find?
If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.